Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Yesterday I received a box in the mail. It's a gift from Robert of Asia Pacific Garden. He has a YouTube channel and they run a nursery in Washington State. I haven't looked what's inside the box, but I know what's inside it. It's Chinese mudmen, and he said some of them are quite small, so we'll have a look at them. I think he was watching my mini bonsai bench with my little tiny trees and thought the little tiny mudmen had looked great underneath them. So let's have a look and see what he sent. Here is a look at the box, and it said open here, so I did. And inside we've got Asia Pacific Gardening, social media on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And yeah, there's the information, and I'll put a link to their email address in the description below the video. So thanks very much, Robert. So taped to the lid of the box, I haven't looked at it yet, but I didn't want to lose it, is the tiniest mudman you'll ever see. And I think this is from Robert's personal collection. He has a video that he shows all these tiny mudmen, and they're only like 8 to 10 millimeters tall. They're very, very small. So let's get it out very carefully and have a look at it. Here is a look at the tiny mudman. I'm trying to get close enough to keep it in focus. There's my finger beside it. So it is very, very small and miniature. Wow, that's incredible. And very detailed for that size. That's just amazing. He said the factory that makes these has closed down, so they might get rare in the future for sure. Here is the little person beside my giant jade tree. So there it is, a person with a fan. Is that ever cool? There's the giant jade towering above the person. So yeah, not very big. Here's my finger. Yeah, really, really nice. In the box here is probably some larger ones, so I'll get them all out and we'll have a look at them. So I'll unwrap them off the camera and line them up, and we'll just have a look at them all. There's a lot of, people who don't like figurines and mudmen with their trees, but it's a tradition with Chinese penjing to have mudmen. It gives a sense of scale to your planting, and I really like them. I think they're really cool. Here is a look at the entire collection. Wow, it's I'm just amazed at the variety. It's so cool. So let's have a look at each little work of art. So these are all handmade. They're just amazing. So here's the first one. It's a fisherman with a long pole, and there's a ceramic fish on the end. Yeah, really amazing. And then we have an elderly person with a staff, I think. Yeah, that's just amazing too. And then we have someone pulling, what do they call those things? I forget now. Yeah, pulling one of the hand carts. Person riding in the back. And then we've got a master working on his bonsai here. Isn't that cool? It's a cool tree too. And then we have a person with their hat cooling off in the shade of a tree. Next to that we have a scholar reading a book. And beside that, a ceramic turtle. Really, really cool. Beside that, a ceramic frog. Wonderful. And a little panda bear. That's so cool. And a bird. I don't know if it's a stork or what it is, but some kind of cool bird. Yeah, so just amazing. I'm just so pleased to have this in my collection, and I'll use them at shows and that underneath trees. I think they just look wonderful. So again, thanks very much, Robert, from Asia Pacific Gardens. Just amazing. Out here in the greenhouse, you'll notice I still have all my temperate bonsai, ones that can't go below freezing but can take the cool. I was going to put them in the basement, and then I looked at the weather report and it looked like it was going to be above freezing at night for the next week at least. So I thought, well, I'll leave them out here in the greenhouse for another week longer. At nighttime, the greenhouse, even with the heat on, gets down to about 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, or around 50 to maybe 54 degrees Fahrenheit. Pretty cool at night, but then days like today when the sun's out, it warms up in here and it's really, really nice. So I think they're better off out here as long as possible. So I'll wait until the end of this week at least to start moving them down into the basement. I was looking at the trees here in the greenhouse and I thought today I'll work on my Burttdavyi ficus. This was a ficus that started from Chris Hendry's, and it's a really nice ficus. It's a South African ficus, and they get, you know, really small leaves, and you can see it's loaded with little figs all over it. Yeah, they fruit, and the flowers are inside the fruit, so you don't get to see flowers, but you get to see fruit. So I'm growing this in the kind of umbrella style, and it's been going okay. I was hoping for more vigorous growth on top this year, but I didn't really get a lot of vigorous growth. The whole summer it didn't really grow with a ton of vigor. I think there's a couple of reasons. Maybe the summer was just, it was a hot summer. I don't know, I expected the ficus like this to really grow well in the hot summer, but they just seem to kind of shut down and stay dormant. Like every day we got sunshine and above 30 degrees Celsius temperatures, and yeah, it was a hot summer. So I don't know, and I think another reason I put it in this kind of shallower kind of show pot, which looks nice, but maybe, you know, the roots like to grow straight down. I'm not sure. Last time I repotted this tree, I noticed the root growth was fairly weak on it. It didn't fill the pot with roots. So yeah, I'm learning about these Burttdavyi ficus as I go, and I'll just keep reading up on them. I've tried keeping this tree cool over the winter, down in the basement at 10 to 12 degrees Celsius. And it seems to take the cold fine until spring, and then in spring it puts a big flush of growth on. And I've also tried keeping it in the plant room warm for the winter, and it kind of just grows slowly over the winter, very slowly, and then in spring it doesn't really put that big push of growth on. So I don't know which is better. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky tree to grow here in Canada. I'm happy that it's, you know, doing well, but it's sure didn't grow with a ton of vigor this year. You can see there's even new shoots coming out on the old wood here. One thing that did fix itself this year is the color of the leaves. Last year, half the tree was kind of yellowy leaves, and the other half was nice deep green leaves. This year, it kind of stabilized. There's maybe one branch here that's maybe a little more yellowy than the others, but the color evened out overall, which is quite nice. I started second guessing myself, is one branch grafted or something? And I thought, no, there's no graft marks or anything. And so I think it was just maybe one branch was weaker or something, or the roots on that side were weaker, so it didn't get as much nutrients to the leaves. Something like that, but it's fixed itself now. It's a fairly nice even green color over the entire canopy. It's growing quite well. It's definitely improved from when I got it, and I've done drastic work to this tree, to the root system and to the upper part of the tree. It used to have almost a big giant cascade branch here, and I cut it off, and you can see the original cut at the back here, and it's healing really well. I never thought that would heal this branch, these two branches are kind of growing over and the wound is slowly closing up. Yeah, I'm just amazed that that happened. So on the tree, I would like this side of the tree, the left-hand side, to get stronger. This is kind of my main leader on the canopy, and this side of the tree is getting too strong. So I think you can see this branch, it's a nice branch, but there's not a lot of taper to it, and it's getting a little long. If you look at the profile from the front, it's getting a bit tall here and out of shape. So I'm going to correct that today. It's always difficult growing trees outside of their native climate. And Canada is about as far from South Africa as you can get. So there's lots of videos on Davyi Ficus from South Africa, and a lot of the advice in that doesn't really apply here because I don't get that kind of climate, and so I'm trying to adjust the growing to Canada and kind of learning as you go. There's no expert that I know of in a northern climate that is an expert at growing Davyi Ficus, so you kind of just got to experiment, trial and error. Like one year I tried cooling it down. Last year I tried it in the plant room, and it didn't seem to make a whole lot of difference. I can try, varying the placement, more sun, less sun, maybe keeping it in the greenhouse here over the summer so it's hotter, and yeah, I don't know. I'll keep experimenting with it. But yeah, I can definitely shape it up today. This branch is getting quite high. So that's where I'll begin, doing some pruning. Here is a look at the tree from the front. So you can see it's getting high on this right-hand side, and it's getting very thick and vigorous. And I think it's taking energy away from this side of the tree. I think I've just got too much vigor on this side, and it's not balanced. So yeah, I'm going to prune this one, and I'm placing my hand over top, just envisioning where I want my canopy. So definitely somewhere more like this. So I think a lot of this growth will be pruned away. I even thought about, taking this whole branch off and developing this as the branch leader, and maybe the one out the back. Or even this one's a good branch. That would look pretty good. It would give me the taper. See, this branch here is getting very thick all the way out to almost the edge of the canopy. It's too thick. You want all your branching at the edge of the canopy to be really fine. So maybe that's where I need to cut it. Maybe cutting off that section there. It would reduce the height. It would get rid of that kind of thick part of the branch, and I'd keep basically everything else. I think that's a pretty good move. I think, yeah, so taking it off from here, all of this comes off. And I do have like the branch here that's already interfering with this section anyway, so I can grow this branch out to kind of fill this space in. Okay, I think that's a good move. I think that's where I'll start, is the big cut, taking that whole end of the branch off. All right, here I go. A big cut coming up. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have a little branch out back down lower here, so I think that's the best place. Is just to, I'm going to remove this branch so I can get in here a little easier. And maybe I should come in with the ironwood pruners for the first cut, and then kind of nibble it away to make it smooth. Okay, here I go. Okay, big cut coming up. Here I go. Done, just like that. So these do root quite easily from cuttings. Not at this time of year. but I will try it because I really like this species as bonsai. Small leaves, vigorous growth, and yeah, charming with the fruit and everything. Okay, before I do any more work, I want to see what it looks like. There is a look at the tree now, and that is a big difference. It looks a lot better. There's still some work to go here, but yeah, it got rid of that big thick section. It reduced the height of that branch. Yeah, that's I'm quite pleased with that. And it didn't really change the styling of the tree very much. It still looks as full as it ever did. So let's continue the work now. So that cut I did is quite good. I'm not going to mess with it. I think it's going to heal over quite nicely. So next I'm looking again at the profile of the canopy, and I've got a lot of vertical shoots growing off of this branch that could be pruned away. I don't mind if the shoots kind of flow, but these just grow straight up from the branch, so they've got to be removed totally. So there goes that one. This one is gone. This one looks fine growing out here. It's got a good division at the tip. I can take a stub off here from last time I pruned it. The branches flow quite nicely out in this direction. I'm just looking from above. I've kind of got 3 branches in a row here. I better leave it for now. I'd rather have, they're not shading out anything. They've got their own spot of sunlight, so I'll leave them grow. There's another branch here sticking kind of straight up, and it almost goes back in towards the center of the tree. I can take that one out. There's another one sticking straight up here. I'll take off. There's a few leaves I can remove here just to give this other branch a little more light. And a stub I can take off. Okay, it's looking good. This branch, it's part of it. You can see this area kind of crosses back in towards the center of the tree. Doesn't bother me too much because it kind of fills out the front, but I could get rid of some of the extreme branches that are growing straight across the tree, like this one. Maybe I'll tip prune this one, trying to redirect it. I'm not doing a lot of tip pruning at this present time because it's entering its winter dormancy. I just leave foliage on, but I'm just kind of correcting some branch work. So back here on this trunk line, there's another little branch here that's shooting in towards the center of the tree. I can take that off. And another one here. That kind of cleans up this branch. It's not perfect, but it's not bad either. Take an old leaf off here that's kind of going yellow. And there's one here that's going yellow. And one in here. And one here. That keeps the leaves looking pretty healthy there. So I'm just stepping back now, having a look at the tree, and I'll just rotate it a bit so you can kind of see. So I think this branch is looking good. There's some branches on this side that are getting quite long and straight, but until they thicken up a bit more, I probably won't touch those. There is some correction work I can do in the canopy here. There's a branch growing across another branch. I can do some sorting out of the structure. So I think that's what I'll do next, is sort of tackle some of these other branches. And I'm wondering if I go to the side view, I'm just wondering if I'm getting too long here. Maybe not. Maybe it's quite balanced in the side view. It's definitely denser at the back here, so I can do some thinning. You can see this branch is growing back in towards the center of the tree. So yeah, so I think that's the kind of work I'll be doing now. Maybe I'll start with that branch. It's just growing the wrong direction. There's some branches, like this one, that are really, really long, and they could be pruned back. It's starting to interfere with the branch beside it, so I'll take it off here. This one's going back in towards the center of the tree. I'll prune it off, try and redirect it. There's one going straight up here I can take off. There's a stub I can take off here. And again, there's a branch going straight up here I can take off. This one's kind of shooting straight up too. Let me look at the canopy profile from the side view. It's not too bad. It's getting a little high at this outer edge here. So maybe that one can come off also. This one I can take off. It's kind of sticking up. Gets more light to these other ones, which are better. This one, it's kind of shooting straight up. I'll try and redirect it, keeping part of that branch. Here's another one sticking straight up. From here, I'll get rid of that totally. There's a branch here that's getting really long, and it's kind of growing into the branch beside it. I'll cut the tip off for now. See what happens. This one I need to cut the tip off also. It's getting too long. This one I will cut the tip off also. It's nice to have the fruit on the tree. I know it takes energy away from growing branches and foliage, but you gotta enjoy your bonsai too. Okay, let me have a look from the front again. Yeah, it's looking better. And maybe a little high back here. Let me see if I can reduce some of this a bit. Now this branch can come off. And this one can be shortened to here. This one can be shortened to here. I'll take a bit of height off here. I'll punch just a little bit. Well, I think that's got the profile looking better. It's sort of starting to get that umbrella canopy. There's a lot of filling in to do, but hopefully someday it'll get there. Yeah, it has made a lot of progress over the years. So if you follow the playlist for this tree, which is in the description, you can see everything I've done to it, and it was pretty drastic. As I said, both on the roots and the top of the trees had some really, really tough work done to it. But I'm happy with it now. It's starting to show promise. I'll keep my Davyi Ficus cool in the basement for the winter. And there's some ficus I put in the basement for the winter, and about halfway through winter you start noticing the leaves go from kind of green, they start getting kind of black. It's too cold for them, it's too long a cool dormant period. And so I bring them up into the plant room and warm them up, and they recover very quickly. So if I notice any signs of change on the tree over the winter, I'll bring it up into the plant room and start warming it up. But it survived an entire winter in the plant room in the past, and it's done quite well. So yeah, I don't think it hurts cooling it down for the winter. Here is what I took off the tree today. So it was mainly that big thick branch that came out here that was just getting too long and vigorous. So there's my cut point. That should heal over nicely. So these Burttdavya ficus, this is the natural kind of leaf size on it. I haven't done any leaf pruning. I didn't do any pinching this year. And you can get them with defoliation and pinching. You can get them really, really small and dense. So that will be a future goal for this tree, to just keep refining it into the future. I'll spin the tree around. We'll take one last look at the tree. So I've been looking at different fronts for this tree, and I'm kind of leaning towards maybe this as the front someday. The trunk kind of comes towards you a bit more. It looks quite nice from that view. So yeah, so that's the front. And we're coming around to the right hand side. And the back. And you can see there's some aerial roots growing out here. These trees grow aerial roots really easily, even if it's not that humid out. There's the back, and the left hand side, and back to the front. Yeah, so I'm kind of liking that as a view for the front maybe. The trunk isn't quite as thick at the base from this view, but it's definitely another possibility for the future. It depends how it develops too. Yeah, lots of possibilities. The sun is just clearing the trees, so it should be a really nice day here in the greenhouse. I think my trees will really enjoy the day. I want to thank Robert from Asia Pacific Gardening for the gift of all the Chinese mudmen and figurines. I'll be using those in upcoming bonsai shows. So that is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.